I'm sitting in a doctor's office in Charleston, South Carolina, holding a pregnancy test that says positive. 6 weeks pregnant. After 5 years of failed IVF, hormone treatments, and a miscarriage that nearly destroyed me. 3 weeks ago, I signed divorce papers and accepted $3 million from my ex-husband's family to disappear from their lives forever. They needed me gone because his mistress is pregnant with twins, the heirs they desperately wanted. I took the money. I signed the papers. I left Atlanta in the middle of the night with nothing but 2 suitcases and a shattered heart. And now I'm pregnant with the child they said I could never have. The irony is so cruel, I don't know whether to laugh or cry, so I'm doing neither. I'm just sitting here, staring at this test, trying to figure out what the hell I do now. I'm Gabrielle Morrison. I'm 34 years old, and this is the story of how my life fell apart and came together in the same devastating, beautiful moment. My marriage to Julian Ashford didn't die in one moment. It died slowly, over months, like a plant nobody remembered to water. We'd been married for 5 years, met at a charity gala in Buckhead, me, a nonprofit communications director, him, heir to Ashford Logistics, a family empire worth hundreds of millions. His parents, Harrison and Vivian Ashford, tolerated me at first. I was educated, well-spoken, from a decent middle-class family. Not their ideal choice, but acceptable enough if I produced grandchildren quickly. I didn't. 5 years of trying, 3 rounds of IVF, 2 different fertility specialists, hormone injections that made me feel like my body was betraying me, a miscarriage at 8 weeks that left me bleeding and broken on a bathroom floor, while Julian was at a board meeting he couldn't miss. The doctors used words like endometriosis and diminished ovarian reserve. The Ashfords used words like disappointment and unfortunate situation. Julian used words like I'm sorry while looking at his phone. I became a ghost in my own marriage, present but unseen, trying but failing, loving someone who'd stopped seeing me as a person and started seeing me as a problem to be managed. It happened on a Tuesday evening in October. I was making dinner, rosemary chicken, Julian's favorite, though he rarely ate my cooking anymore. His phone buzzed on the kitchen counter, once, twice, 3 times. A name I didn't recognize, Sloan. I almost didn't answer it, almost took it to him in the study, where he was working late, as usual, but something made me hesitate. Maybe intuition, maybe exhaustion. Maybe just the cumulative weight of 5 years of feeling like I was losing my mind. I pressed the green button. Baby? A woman's voice, young, breathless, intimate. I'm scared. The doctor just confirmed. It's twins. What are we going to tell your parents? The phone slipped from my fingers. Julian appeared in the doorway, hair wet from the shower, shirt unbuttoned. He saw the phone on the floor, saw my face. And I saw him make a choice in that split second. Not to apologize, not to explain, just irritation, like I'd caught him in an inconvenient moment, not a betrayal. It's complicated, he said, picking up his phone. Complicated, I repeated. Sloan is pregnant. It wasn't planned. But my parents, they're excited about finally having grandchildren, heirs for the company. He said it so matter-of-factly, like he was discussing a business merger, not the complete destruction of our marriage. How long? I asked. 4 months. 4 months, while I was recovering from our last failed IVF cycle, while I was crying myself to sleep, while I was blaming my own body for not being enough. Are you in love with her? Yes. He didn't even hesitate. That's what broke me. Not the affair, not the pregnancy, the fact that he loved someone else and hadn't even had the decency to let me go before building a whole new life without me. 3 days later, I received a summons to the Ashford estate in Vinings. Harrison and Vivian's home was a monument to old Southern money, all columns and magnolias and carefully curated respectability. I'd been there dozens of times for Sunday dinners that felt like performance reviews. This time, I was meeting them in Harrison's study. Dark wood, leather chairs, portraits of men who'd bought their pedigree at estate sales but pretended it was bloodline. "Sit down, Gabrielle." Vivian's voice had the warmth of ice water. A folder sat on the desk, thick, official-looking. "You're aware of the situation," Harrison said. "Not a question, a statement. That Julian cheated on me and got his mistress pregnant? Yes, I'm aware." "Don't be crude," Vivian snapped. "This is a delicate family matter." "Delicate," I repeated. Harrison opened the folder. "Sloane is 26 years old. She's healthy. She's carrying twins, a boy and a girl. After 5 years of difficulties with you, this represents an opportunity for the Ashford line to continue." "You mean I'm being replaced?" "We're offering you a generous settlement," Vivian said, sliding papers across the desk. $3 million. In exchange, you sign divorce papers, a non-disclosure agreement, and agree to relocate outside of Georgia for a minimum of 3 years. I picked up the papers, read them slowly. Divorce, financial settlement, confidentiality clause, geographic restriction, no contact with Julian or his family, no social media posts, no interviews, complete erasure from their lives. "You want me to disappear," I said quietly. "We want to avoid an ugly public divorce," Harrison corrected. "This way, everyone moves forward with dignity. You have financial security, Julian marries Sloane before the twins are born, the family preserves its reputation." "And if I refuse?" "Our attorneys are already prepared," Harrison said. "They'll argue that your infertility constitutes a material breach of marital expectations. They'll drag out the proceedings for years. You'll spend hundreds of thousands on legal fees and end up with far less than we're offering now." Vivian leaned forward. "Gabrielle, honey, why would you want to stay? To watch Julian marry someone else? To see him raise children with another woman? Wouldn't it be easier to start fresh somewhere new?" I looked at these people who'd never seen me as family, only as a failed incubator, a disappointing investment. "Can I have 3 days to think about it?" "You have 48 hours. After that, the offer decreases by $1 million. He came home that night. Actually came home, instead of staying at whatever hotel he'd been using. I was sitting in the living room with the papers on my lap. "You went to see my parents?" Not a question. "They offered me $3 million to disappear." He sat across from me, rubbing the bridge of his nose, his tell when he was uncomfortable. "Gabrielle, please don't make this difficult." "What exactly am I making difficult?" "Sloane is pregnant with twins. My parents are putting pressure on both of us. You know how they are." "I know how you are," I said. "Did you even try to tell them this was wrong? That maybe I deserved better than a payoff?" "What do you want me to say?" His voice rose slightly. "That I'm sorry? I am sorry, but I can't change what's happened. Sloane is having my children. My parents want me to marry her. The lawyers are ready to make this ugly if you fight." "Do you love her?" "Yes." No hesitation. "Very much." The words hung between us. Final. Absolute. "And you never loved me?" He looked away. Couldn't even give me that one honest answer. I set the papers on the coffee table. "I'll sign, but I need one condition. I leave immediately. No farewell dinners, no fake civility. I signed the papers and I'm gone." Relief washed over his face. Actually relief, like I'd just agreed to solve his most annoying problem. "Thank you," he said, "for not making this harder than it needs to be." That hurt more than anything. The gratitude for my compliance, the appreciation for making his betrayal convenient. I signed the papers the next morning at the Ashford estate. Harrison and Vivian watched with barely concealed satisfaction as I initialed every page. Divorce settlement, NDA, geographic restriction. $3 million appeared in my account that afternoon. I packed 2 suitcases, only things that had been mine before the marriage. Left everything else. The jewelry, the designer clothes Vivian had picked out, even my wedding dress still hanging in the back of the closet in dry cleaner plastic. My best friend from college, Maya, drove me to the train station the next morning. "Where will you go?" she asked, tears streaming down her face. "Charleston, maybe? Somewhere quiet. Somewhere I can figure out who I am without being Mrs. Julian Ashford. Call me every day. Promise me." "I promise." The train pulled away from Atlanta, and I watched the skyline disappear. The city where I loved and lost. The city where I'd spent 5 years trying to be enough. I placed my hand on my stomach, flat, unchanged, and whispered, "It's just me now." I was wrong. 3 weeks into my new life in Charleston, living in a small apartment in the French Quarter, I started feeling nauseous. At first, I blamed stress, the upheaval, the grief of losing everything familiar. But when it continued for 3 days, then 5, then a week, a small, terrifying hope began to grow. I bought a pregnancy test at a pharmacy where nobody knew me, took it in the bathroom of my tiny apartment. Positive. I took 3 more tests, all positive. I made an appointment with a doctor, a kind woman in her 50s who listened to my history without judgment. Blood test, ultrasound, the works. 6 weeks, she said, turning the monitor toward me. "See that flutter? That's the heartbeat." I stared at the screen, at the tiny blob that was somehow, impossibly, a baby. After 5 years of trying, after 3 failed IVF cycles, after being told my chances of conceiving naturally were nearly 0, after signing divorce papers and taking money to disappear. "This is impossible," I whispered. "Medicine isn't always predictable," the doctor said gently. "Sometimes the body surprises us." I walked out of that clinic in a daze, sat on a bench in Waterfront Park for 2 hours, watching the boats on the harbor, trying to process what this meant. I was pregnant with Julian's child, the child the Ashfords had wanted desperately, the heir they'd paid me to leave so they could get one from someone else. And I had no idea what to do about it. Maya was the first person I told. I video called her that night, and the second I said the words, "I'm pregnant," she went silent. "How far along?" 6 weeks. "Gabrielle," her voice was tight, "you signed papers. You took their money. If they find out..." "I know." "Do you? Because they'll say you got pregnant to trap him. They'll accuse you of fraud. They'll sue for the money back and for custody. They will destroy you." "I know," I repeated. "That's why I'm not telling them." Silence. "You're going to raise Julian's child in secret?" "It's not Julian's child. It's my child. Mine. They wanted me gone. They paid me to disappear. So I'm disappeared. This baby has nothing to do with them." "And Julian?" "Julian made his choice. He chose Sloan. He chose his parents. He chose heirs over his wife. He doesn't get to change his mind now." Maya was quiet for a long moment. "What if he finds out anyway?" "He won't. You are the only person who knows, and it's going to stay that way." "What about money? 3 million sounds like a lot, but raising a kid?" "I'll work. I'm already tutoring online. I'll find other income. I'll make it work." "Gabrielle, I'm scared for you." "I'm scared too," I admitted, "but I'm also happy. For the first time in 5 years, I'm happy. This baby is mine, not the Ashfords, not Julian's, mine." I became invisible in Charleston, rented a quiet apartment, worked online, avoided anywhere the Ashford social circle might overlap, used my maiden name, Morrison, not Ashford. At 12 weeks, I had my first ultrasound, saw the baby moving, heard the heartbeat strong and steady at 160 beats per minute. "Everything looks perfect," the doctor said. "Healthy pregnancy, no complications." I cried with relief, with joy, with the weight of carrying a secret that could destroy me if anyone found out. Maya called every Sunday, always asked the same question. "You're still not telling him?" "No, this is my fresh start, the baby and me. No Ashfords, no complications." At 20 weeks, I found out I was having a girl. I stood in the parking lot of the clinic, holding the ultrasound photo, and felt something fierce and protective surge through me. My daughter. Mine. Not an heir, not a dynasty builder, just a little girl who would grow up knowing her mother chose her, fought for her, protected her. I started setting up a nursery in my small second bedroom, bought a crib secondhand, painted the walls pale yellow, hung curtains with little stars. For the first time since the divorce, I felt like I was building something, not for show, not to meet someone else's expectations, just because I wanted to. Life was simple, quiet, safe. And then my phone rang. It was a number I didn't recognize, Atlanta area code. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Gabrielle? It's Elijah. Elijah had been the Ashford family's head of security for 20 years, a kind man who'd always treated me with quiet respect. Elijah, how did you get my number? I kept it, just in case. He paused. I thought you should know something. About Julian. My heart rate spiked. What about him? He's not doing well. Drinking heavily, fighting with his parents constantly, missing work. The wedding to Sloan keeps getting postponed. Why are you telling me this? Because, another pause, because I think he's realized he made a mistake. I see him sometimes, sitting in his car in your old driveway, just sitting there, like he's waiting for you to come home. I felt nothing. No pity, no satisfaction, just a hollow emptiness where our marriage used to live. I can't help him, Elijah. I know, I just thought you should know. In case. In case what? In case he comes looking for you. The call ended. I sat in my apartment, one hand on my growing belly, and felt the first real tremor of fear. What if Julian did come looking? What if he found me? What if he discovered the baby? The Ashfords had lawyers, money, power. If they wanted to take my daughter, could I stop them? 3 days later, there was a knock on my door. I was 24 weeks pregnant, unmistakably showing, wearing sweatpants and one of my father's old college t-shirts. I opened the door without checking the peephole. Julian stood there. He looked terrible. Thinner, unshaven, dark circles under his eyes, nothing like the polished heir I'd married. His eyes dropped to my stomach, went wide. You're pregnant, he whispered. I tried to close the door, he caught it. Gabrielle, please, just let me talk. How did you find me? I hired a private investigator. I've been looking for you for weeks. You need to leave. Is that my baby? The question hung in the air. I could lie, should lie, but looking at his face, broken, desperate, nothing like the cold man who'd chosen his mistress over me, I couldn't. Yes. He stumbled backward like I'd hit him. How long have you known? Since about a week after I left Atlanta. And you didn't tell me? You didn't want me, Julian. You wanted Sloan. You wanted her twins. You got exactly what you wanted. I was an idiot, his voice cracked. The biggest idiot alive. Sloan, the babies, aren't mine. The world stopped. What? The paternity test came back 3 weeks ago. The twins aren't mine. She was sleeping with someone else the whole time. My parents are furious. The wedding is off. She's suing for support anyway. It's a nightmare. I should have felt vindicated. I should have felt something. I felt nothing but a cold, clear certainty. I'm sorry that happened to you, I said, but it doesn't change anything. I made a terrible mistake, Gabrielle. I chose wrong. I was weak, but I love you. I've always loved you. Please give me another chance. You love the idea of me now, that your perfect plan fell apart. You love that I'm pregnant after your other woman's babies turned out not to be yours. You don't love me, Julian. You probably never did. That's not true. Go home, I said firmly. Go back to Atlanta, deal with your mess, but leave me out of it. That's my child. No, this is my child, mine. You gave up any rights when you chose Sloan, when you let your parents pay me to disappear. You wanted me gone, I'm gone. I'll fight you, he said desperately. My parents will fight you. We'll sue for custody. With what grounds? I asked calmly. You divorced me. You paid me to leave. You have a signed agreement saying we're done. I left. I'm raising this baby on my own. You have zero legal rights because you signed them away. The courts won't see it that way. Try me. Take me to court. Let's see how it looks when the headlines read, "Wealthy family paid wife to disappear, now wants baby back." Let's see how your parents' precious reputation handles that. He paled, because he knew I was right. Gabrielle, please, don't do this. Let me be a father. Let me try to fix what I broke. I looked at this man I'd once loved, once trusted, once believed would protect me. You can't fix this, Julian. Some things, once broken, can't be repaired. You taught me that. I closed the door, and this time, he didn't try to stop me. My daughter, Emma Rose Morrison, was born on a rainy March morning in Charleston. 7 pounds, 3 ounces, perfect in every way. Maya flew down to be with me, held my hand through labor, cried when Emma was born. "She's beautiful," Maya whispered. "She looks just like you." I looked at my daughter, my miracle, my fresh start, my proof that sometimes the worst moments in your life lead to the best ones, and felt complete. Julian tried to contact me twice more after Emma was born, both times through lawyers requesting visitation rights. Both times, my attorney, a fierce woman named Patricia who specialized in family law, shut it down with the same response. "Your client signed away his rights. The settlement is final. There is no legal standing for this request." The Ashfords could have fought harder, could have made it ugly, but they didn't, because Patricia was right. The optics were terrible, and reputation meant everything to them. A year later, I'm still in Charleston, still tutoring online. Emma is thriving, babbling, laughing, reaching all her milestones. I started a support group for women dealing with infertility, share my story, without names, about how I spent years believing my body was broken, only to conceive naturally when I finally stopped trying to meet everyone else's expectations. Sometimes I think about Julian, wonder if he ever found what he was looking for, if he learned anything from losing everything twice. Mostly, I don't think about him at all, because my life isn't about what I lost anymore. It's about what I found. I found strength I didn't know I had. I found peace in choosing myself. I found joy in my daughter's smile. The Ashfords paid me $3 million to disappear. Best money I ever took. Because I didn't just disappear from their lives, I disappeared into my own, built a life that's mine, raised a daughter who will never be a pawn in someone else's dynasty. I'm Gabrielle Morrison. I'm 35 years old, and I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be. Have you ever had to choose between what others expected and what you knew was right for you? Share your story in the comments, and subscribe for more stories about women who chose themselves and never looked back.